walked into a group of young Kenyans who were discussing the possibility or how best we can move our country away from politics of ethnic balkanization or ethnic formations that normally inform the choice of a presidential candidate or the presidential race generally. So it was quite interesting, and some of the discussants, actually, most of them were aged between 25 and 32, I think, at most. This is quite interesting because these were young people. A confirmation that actually our politics is going to change, and that in come 2022 we may have a very it will be rough terrain. That we young people are now willing to step forward and play a critical role in our electoral politics, be it as active participants in terms of being candidates or voters as such, or people mobilizing, or volunteers in campaigns. Now, one thing that came out is that indeed they identified that DP Ruto is a front runner at the moment. And they also sampled out that in case Prime Minister Odinga is not going to run, that most likely may endorse former Deputy Prime Minister and the former Vice President Musalia Mudavadi. So this now means that we have Musalia on this side and William Ruto on the other side. So this will be the two horses. So this also now means that probably Kalonzo will be somebody's deputy, or he is left to his own devices, probably will run as on his own as a third candidate. So this was quite interesting conversation. But then again, looking at the three top contenders for 2022, the front runners, the agreement was that they don't represent a fresh change in politics. So these are more of the same. William Ruto has been around for now. He's a hustler, we know. He's been around. Musalia Mudavadi has been around forever. I think people are like 20. They know him since they started listening to radio or TV. So there is nothing fresh about it. So the guys who are looking beyond the obvious, and it's indeed true that since the advent of multi-party, or since the advent of multi-party, is that the odds are always set for us. So we have the top candidates always are the guys in politics who are recycling each other and taking positions, and we end up choosing one or the other. So we never had somebody who comes from the masses, or comes from the body of corporate world, or from regular, or from the civil service, to take over the presidency. So it's been a game of the guys who are already in politics, or who've been endorsed by existing guys. So meaning there's no total change as such. There's nothing fresh. So it was quite interesting. So the guys were looking at the governors and senators as the second tier electoral leaders. So, and two names actually. There was one governor, alias Joe, and another one, Governor Kivutha Kibwana of Makueni. So actually in the discussion is that Governor Kivutha Kibwana almost dominated discussion, and the guys were like, this is a guy we need to go for. He is a very much pro-change. He is a pro-poor guy. He was in the reform agenda in the 90s, agitating for multiple democracy. He was in the front line in the change, in the struggle for the new constitution. So he's a guy with a huge reform credentials, and he has performed as a governor. People were looking at what he's done in Makueni. Given the mega devolution resources, they were looking at it as this amazing. This is a guy who can do wonders if he's given goodwill of Kenyans to be their commander-in-chief and do other things. So, but then there is always a question, does he have resources? Which tribe does he come from? Would the tribe of king in this Kalonzo Musyoka step down for him? So there were all these things. So it was quite interesting conversation looking at it. And indeed, what Governor Kivutha Kibwana has done, the fact that he was able to stand against the MCAs in the first term, and whatever little things he's doing is quite amazing to see that people are also willing to consider such kind of leaders. So for us to move forward, according to the young man, is that we need to focus at people like Kivutha Kibwana, who are fresh and who are pro-poor. Pro-poor in the sense that we, the people who attend rallies whenever they are called, we, the people who are normally transported to rallies, we, the people who compose songs, we, the people who go to mass action, who take the front line. We need to go for a candidate or we need to go for somebody to rally behind, somebody who identifies with us, who represents our ways, who has walked the talk, not promising to do, but who has done it on his level of position he is at now, and that is they identified as Governor Professor Kivutha Kibwana. And I totally agreed with them that with the predisposed candidates that we have at the moment, we don't seem to break away from the yoke of ethnicity. That's kind of, we are enslaved around these tribal formations. But then the problem is that as the guy you have money, that's the big question. Will he be captured by the mafia? Will he be captured by the entrepreneurs and take over? So there were so many ideas. It was quite interesting and quite interactive to see, and how people are proposing, for example, public campaigning. People can fund 5 shillings each, 1 million people. These are a lot of money they can fund. Quite interesting, and I hope it can be kept going and see where country moves forward as we gear to 2022.